Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. How you doing?
What do we got?
I got a guitar for you. It's a no-name guitar with a big name on it.
All right, and whose name is that?
Paul McCartney.
Oh, wow. Paul McCartney. Okay, that's a huge name. And yeah, definitely a no-name guitar.
Right. I came to the pawn shop today to sell a guitar with a Paul McCartney signature. The guitar was a gift from my mother to my dad. It was purchased from an estate sale, so it was already signed and had a certificate with it. I'm looking to get $5,000 for this guitar.
This is pretty interesting. Big Beatles fan?
Rock and roll in general?
There's no denying. I mean, they're the biggest rock and roll band ever in the history of the world, right?
Right.
You know, Paul McCartney, he grew up around music. I mean, it was basically in his blood. His dad was a jazz pianist at night, sold cotton during the day. He started performing with the church. I believe it was at a church festival where he met John Lennon.
Interesting.
Those two went on to form the Beatles with Ringo Starr and George Harrison, and they started getting a little traction in Europe. Then they came to the United States and just blew up. I mean, they were just massive. They call it Beatlemania for a reason. I mean, you had Beatles dinner plates, you had Beatles everything, Beatles lunchboxes, Beatles doormats, Beatles, you know, anything you could put the Beatles on, they were selling. They were just huge. But Paul McCartney, I think, was more about the business. In 1970, they broke up. Paul McCartney went on his own. You know, Wings was a huge band. But, you know, Paul McCartney is still around today, still making music today. I mean, the guy's had a huge career. I mean, I believe he was the first musician billionaire. He's still touring, still doing really well. Any show this guy plays, no matter what, is going to be sold out.
Right.
I'm assuming you brought it in here because you want to sell it?
Right.
What are you looking to get out of it?
$5,000.
Okay. Now, we all know the guitar's not worth anything.
Right.
It's a no-name guitar. Paul McCartney definitely wouldn't have played one of these.
No.
But I don't know what his signature's going for. So do you mind if I have somebody come down and take a look at it?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll hang out and I'll be right back, okay?
If I'm able to sell this guitar today, I'll probably take the money and buy a guitar I can actually play rather than display.
Paul McCartney signed guitar.
Wow. Don't really see him too often.
Okay. Well, here's the signature, man. I mean, I know the guitar's not worth anything.
Right.
Signature, I figured I'd have to call you in and take a look at it.
Well, speaking about McCartney, Corey, pretty tough autograph. He signed a lot back in the 60s, but more popular they got, the harder they got to get. So more recently, in the last probably 20 years or so, he's become more of a tough autograph. And guitars really didn't come into style where people were getting them signed until maybe mid-90s or so. So, you know, he wasn't signing them way back then, and then people would have him out, and I've seen him before turn him down many times. So getting his autograph in person is pretty difficult, and especially getting a guitar signed.
Right.
So the first thing I obviously want to just spin this around and just take a look at the signature itself, and I've got a few examples on file. This is a signed guitar of McCartney, and as you can see here, usually a nice separation. Now, McCartney does run his first name, the last name together, but I'm seeing a lot of different things, okay? You know, things don't kind of match up to me, especially when I look at McCartney and how he signs, the sizing, the pressure, the slant, the flow. This is looking a little off to me.
Okay, so not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it at all. This is what typically people target. They do these. It's a very cheap guitar. It's something they could pass off as legitimate. Unfortunately, this does fail, and it's something that you shouldn't be buying.
All right, well, I appreciate you coming down, man. That was easy.
Yep, take care.
Thank you.
Yep.
A little disappointing to hear, but...
You know, I had my feelings about it. McCartney's left-handed. This looks like it was signed by somebody who was right-handed. That being said, I'm gonna have to pass.
all right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm not terribly disappointed that I wasn't able to make a sale today. I'll probably just take the guitar home and display it back on the wall.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
The case has seen its better days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we have... Oh, Gibson Les Paul. Do you know what year this is?
69.
First off, it's pretty damn cool. So have you ever played this?
Yes.
So you can play the guitar?
No.
I completely understand. I would love to learn how to play guitar, but I have, like, these sausage fingers, and it's pretty hard.
Guitar is a 1969 Gibson Les Paul. I bought it from a coworker about 7 years ago. I want to sell it because I want to get some upgrades for my motorcycle. I want $4,000 for it. The least I'll take is $35,000.
I absolutely love these things. They are the gold standard of guitars. There's just something about a Les Paul that is so clean and sounds so good. And That's the way Les Paul designed it. He hated distortion pedals and things like that because forever he tried to make a electric guitar sound as clean as possible. And then in the 60s, people started adding distortion to his guitars that he tried to make them sound good without distortion. The Gibson Les Paul is one of the most iconic guitars ever made. It was made famous by Les Paul himself, who was a mega rock star in the 1950s. So if this is a genuine 1969 Gibson Les Paul, we're talking some good money. Do you know if this is the original finish on it?
No.
No. Okay. That's a big deal.
It was original gold top, but the guy that I purchased it from, he sanded this off.
Okay. There's you got some serious condition issues here too. We have we got a crack right there. It was refinished. And how did you determine it was a 69?
He said he bought it in '69.
How much you want for it?
4,000.
$4,000. 4,000 might be here, but I want to have a friend look at it. And this guy knows almost too much about guitars. Okay?
Sure. I would love for him to have somebody come in. I'm not quite sure if it's a 68 or 69 and what the true value is worth.
We have a Les Paul, and he's not sure what year it is and knows nothing about it.
Cool. Ooh. It's kind of a neat transition model. It's a probably a 68 or 69. Some of them had a one-piece mahogany slab like this one. It's been painted, if you want to call it that. It was probably a gold top, which is a shame that they took the finish off of it. This little switch here's added. It's had a bunch of stuff done to it. We should probably plug it in and make sure, with all this stuff that's been done to it, that it works.
Make sure it doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah, make sure it doesn't blow up, yeah, yeah. The early 68s are held in pretty high regard. They're built almost identical to the build style of the late 50s Les Pauls. They're kind of rare, you don't see them that often. There's actually kind of has its own like almost cult following of those guitars. Let's see what it does here. Yeah, it works. Actually, pretty decent sounding guitar, man. That guitar actually sounded pretty good. It seemed like a pretty decent guitar. Had a nice neck shape. Weight was right. It was a nice one.
So, what do you think it's worth?
These in 100% original condition, $6,000 to $7,000. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff done to this. The finish is kind of a whopper. It puts it in what we call a player's grade guitar, which means you've got a vintage guitar that's not gonna bring a vintage price, so guys that actually play and stuff can afford it, not worry about taking it out and beating up on it and that kind of stuff. So they're a little bit sought after, actually, because of that.
Okay.
If I was to hang it on the wall in my shop, it'd probably be at like $3,500 probably. That's probably what I would say the guitar's actually worth.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Take care. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing it to me. Modifications on a guitar don't bother some people. From a businessman standpoint, I want to get them as clean as I possibly can, especially if I'm something I'm going to sell or use as an investment.
So obviously $4,000 is not going to happen. I'll give you $2,000.
No,
You really think you can get more?
$3,000.
There's no way I can go. There's no money to be made. $2,000's my price. That is it.
But it's still a 68 Les Paul.
It's $2,000, man. That's what I can do.
I can't do it. I can't do it. $3,000.
I'll tell you what. I'll go 21. I ain't going to go a dime more. There's no money to be made at $3,000.
I can't do that. Sorry.
Well, if you change your mind, come and see me.
Sounds good. Thank you. I would never take $2,100. I really don't need the money that bad. It's worth more for me to hang it on the wall. I like looking at it.
So what do we got here?
I think there's something in here you're really gonna like to see.
Okay.
1963, American-made Fender Stratocaster.
Oh, to me, this is the guitar.
But there's something very, very special about this specific guitar.
All right.
This guitar was actually played by Jimi Hendrix.
That's a big wow factor right there.
Jimi Hendrix, man, he's one of the greatest rock and roll legends of all time. But what I'm bringing to the table today is not only a piece of rock and roll history, but it's very well preserved.
Jimi Hendrix, he was an icon. This guy did things with the guitar that no one did before. He played a Strat.
Yeah.
Left-hand guitars are far and few between.
Right,
His first
right.
guitars were used. He couldn't find a left one.
Right.
So he started playing with a right-handed guitar with the strings upside down. Even when he had money, he continued playing guitars that were right-hand guitars
Yeah.
strung upside down. Okay, you mind if I pick it up?
No, absolutely, by all means.
All right. This is the Holy Grail.
He actually held this guitar that you now have in your hands and made wonderful music with it.
Is there any pictures of him playing it on stage or anything? Or
No, because it was exclusively played in the studio. This was his really favorite sort of recording acts.
I'm gonna set this down. And where did you get this?
It was actually owned by a guy named Skip Jarrett. There was a studio called Juggy Sound Studio that Jimmy loved to cut in up
Okay.
in New York. Skip was the chief engineer at Juggy Sound Studio. And after they wrapped up all the production on Band of Gypsies and all that, they gave this guitar to Skip. When he passed away, one of my business associates and I acquired the guitar.
Okay. This guitar was on Band of Gypsies?
Yeah, he played this guitar on several records. He actually played it on Nervous Breakdown as well.
Okay.
Here's just something that came out this year in this magazine about this specific guitar. The guy that wrote this article, did a lot of extreme diligence. Plus I have, letters signed by Jimmy's brother.
I have seen items where people had letters from the family.
Right,
Okay, and it turned
okay.
out not to be what they said it was.
Right.
Okay, that's the one big thing that scares me. How much do you want for the guitar?
I think this guitar, from everyone I've talked to, I'd be willing to take, say, $750,000 for it.
I have a friend who, if this thing is real, he will know. And if not, he'll call bull.
Bring it. You know
Okay,
what I'm saying?
All right, I'll be right back. Give me a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, man. I have nothing to hide. Let's turn the lights on real bright. This is an authentic Jimi Hendrix guitar. I'm happy to challenge anybody that he wants to bring to the table to look at it, because he'll authenticate the guitar.
This is stupid cool. I mean, one of Jimmy's guitars. Hendrix turned the guitar into an extension of his body. Every way he moved was altering the sound of the guitar. When you see him dip down real low, he's bending the guitar, physically bending the guitar.
Right.
There's very few guys that can make their own statement with the guitar anymore. But guys come along like Jimi Hendrix and just take it to a completely new place.
I want to make sure this is 100% before we start talking a lot of money.
Yeah, you mind if I take a look at it?
No, man, by all means, that's why you're
Awesome.
here.
There's a couple of things you'd want to look at. The tremolo bar. These are usually bent and angled up. He played the guitar upside down. He flattened a lot of these out, made them straight. So they probably weren't ramming into his arm and stuff like that. Another thing is what they call ring wear. If you're playing the guitar like this, my wedding ring hits the guitar, removes a lot of the paint, finish from there. If you look at this guitar, the top side of the neck has a lot of that wear. That's from the guitar being this way. How Jimmy would have played it. Left-handed. The article that you guys have sitting over there, they asked a bunch of vintage dealers to take a look at this guitar with photos and stuff like that. The serial number here, L14985. This guitar has actually been documented. No doubt, this is definitely one of Jimmy's guitars.
That's really, really cool. In my head, I think I know what it's worth, but what do you think?
No guitar is worth anything unless everything's working on it, in my book.
Plug it in, let it rip,
Let's
just
do
turn it
this.
up loud.
Cannot believe this.
Come on.
That's a good guitar, man.
So what do you think it's worth?
Anywhere from $750 to good auction, $1 million.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yes,
thanks
thanks,
again
man.
for letting
Yeah,
me
you're
play.
welcome, man.
Thanks a lot. That felt crazy to hold one of Jimi Hendrix's guitars, man. You could see why he liked it, because it was a really good, balanced, nice feeling guitar.
On a personal level, I absolutely love it, but you have to find the right auction. It has to be advertised in the least amount of time would be a year, most likely.
Right.
Let me give you 450,000.
450? Man.
My thing is, I take all the risk, you walk away with cash.
For a guitar that could fetch maybe $1 million on any day, your own guy just told you that?
Okay, but what
come on, 450 grand? Yeah, I'm thinking 750, man.
A lot of commissions and a lot of people got to get paid to sell this thing. Okay,
Right.
it's just it's the way the world works.
Right. Okay.
I'll give you $500,000.
This guitar's worth more than that. It just is.
If you want the money now, I can go 550.
Knowing that it could potentially fetch $1 million at an auction, I can't leave that much money on the table. 750, really, man. That's a bottom dollar I can take for the guitar.
Okay, well, have a nice day. Tell me if it goes to auction, I might bid on it.
Okay. Thanks, man. Well.
$6.
I can't do it, man. But I'll call you if I change my mind.
Call me.
Okay?
All right.
He's fired one last bullet across the boat there with the $600,000 offer, you know. Honestly, I was starting to kind of get a little bit more tempted by that. But if you want to come to a fair point in selling something of great value, don't be desperate about it. And that I am not.
Hey, what's going on, dude? What do you got here?
I got a guitar for you, man.
Wow, what is this?
That's a 1957 custom Gibson Les Paul, made for the 2006 US Open.
It definitely was made for a tennis lover, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You've got some famous tennis players here like Andre Agassi and Billie Jean King. It's pretty iconic. Where did you get it?
It was actually a gift from a friend of mine. They knew I was a huge guitar fan, but they didn't know I wasn't too keen on tennis.
I took you for a tennis player too, man.
Oh, really? No.
You got the
me.
Agassi
Not me.
too
I know, I got the Agassi look.
going.
I've got a 1957 custom Gibson Les Paul made for the 2006 US Open. I'm a musician in town, and I'm really looking to sell it just because I'm always looking for guitars I can play on stage, and I can't stand the sight of this one, so it's got to go.
I think this is pretty cool.
The guitar itself is really nice.
Gibson is one of the most collectible guitars.
Right.
And Les Paul is like their best model. Gibson is known for doing commemorative guitars. I know they made like NASCAR ones. They made like alcohol ones.
I've seen a monster one made as well, too.
Yeah. I think this one's a little unique in the fact that this is like the best of both worlds colliding.
Right.
You know, Les Paul, Gibson, and the US Open. The US Open has been around since the 1800s, and it's right up there with Wimbledon. It's watched globally. A Gibson Les Paul is one of the most played, most recognized, and most collected guitars out there, and people pay top dollar for them. And the US Open is one of the biggest events in tennis. I mean, put the two together, game, set, match, baby. This thing is a winner. And it all works, it's tuned up and sounds good.
Everything's tuned up.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Looks like it's working. Oh, how much are you looking to get?
I'm asking for $5,000.
So it's got a lot going for it. It's got the collectability of the US Open. I do think it's probably worth some money, so $2,300.
It's a little low. The asking price for the guitar alone is $35,000 without the commemorative piece. What do you think about $4,000? It's dropping $1,000 from what I'm asking.
Yeah, I just don't know if I can get up to $4,000. I could get up to 3,100.
30. Would you do 35? Like you said, I think it kind of hits to both worlds with guitar lovers and tennis lovers.
I could do 3,400.
34. I can't budge from 35. That's what the guitar goes for.
Oh man, I don't got time to do this all day. Oh. All right, 35 is the deal.
Right.
Meet me over at the counter and we'll write it up.
Okay. I was hoping for a little bit more money, but $3,500 is really good. I'm actually gonna put the money towards recording an album that I've been working on.
Okay, so what do you got here?
I've got a 1954 Gretsch Rancher guitar.
Okay.
I've been collecting guitars for about 35 years. What I love about these vintage classic guitars is the sound, the history they represent. They're great to look at. They're superior to anything that's been built here in the United States for many years.
So tell me about this guitar.
This is a 1954 Gretsch Rancher.
Do you know how many they made?
Around 10 total production that year.
Okay.
It's a pretty rare guitar. It's, to the best of my knowledge, all original. What's special about it is that Robert Duvall played it during his movie Tender Mercies, where Robert got his first Oscar. He played this guitar throughout the movie, so it's a pretty unique piece. And you can see the marks there. It's that guitar in the photo. That's why I didn't want to repair any of this stuff.
Okay.
This guitar is really, really special. There were only 10 produced that year. And then add the fact that Robert Duvall used it for that movie, and it's just one of a kind.
So how'd you come across it?
A friend of Robert's relocated here about 5 years ago from Santa Monica, and I ran into him, and he offered to sell it to me, and I, of course, bought it.
Okay. Well, it's definitely cool. I would love to buy this guitar. When you're talking about a guitar that's this rare and has an interesting history like it has, it's not going to come cheap. So how much did you want for it?
I was hoping to get $10,000 for it.
Okay.
It's very unique. It's a one-of-a-kind guitar.
I mean, it's worth the money, but I don't have that kind of customers that come in here on a regular basis.
Okay.
I'd love to have it, but if I pay what he wants, there's no way I can make money. All right, I'll give you $4 grand for it.
That's not quite enough.
Okay.
I can get at least $8,000 for this.
Yeah, I just can't pay that. I think your best bet is putting like a high-end auction like at Sotheby's or something like that, and you'll probably get that or more.
Sure.
Sorry, we couldn't do business, man.
Okay.
I'm disappointed I didn't get the guitar, but if I paid that kind of money, I'd be really disappointed because I'd have lost a lot of money.
How can I help you?
I've got this really cool guitar built by John Carruthers. He actually worked with Leo Fender on the original design of the Telecaster. It's absolutely beautiful when you play it.
This is about all I can play.
There you go.
I don't even know if that's a note.
I'm looking to sell my John Carruthers guitar. The guitar itself is made with amazing materials and amazing craftsmanship. I'd like to get $1,500 for the guitar because I've played this guitar, and even though I'm very amateur, it even makes me sound okay. It's a really wonderful guitar.
This is awesome. Everybody loves Fenders for the quality, especially those, 50s and 60s guitars. In 1949, Fender had a market share on amps, and then in 1952, they released what I think was the Broadcaster, which later became the Telecaster, the guitar that is synonymous with rock and roll all over the world. People absolutely loved the sound of that guitar, and they just blew up. People loved these Telecasters, and Fender is the top-selling guitar of all time.
Yeah.
So this is a John Carruthers guitar?
I believe it is, absolutely.
I don't know too much about his history personally, but John Carruthers is known for making exceptional guitars. It looks like you say what you have here might be a prototype, and if this proves to be something that he worked on, it could be very valuable, even though it doesn't have any of the Fender markings on it. It does have a few condition issues. Looking at it, it even looks like it might have been dropped, because that's a pretty big chip.
I can live up to that one.
You dropped it?
I did. I met an absolutely gorgeous young lady, and I got sidetracked.
She must have been pretty gorgeous.
She was. I felt like a real nincompoop.
Well, I mean, other than that, the guitar has some normal wear and tear on it, but a guitar like this is built to be played. How much are you looking to get for this guitar?
I was thinking $1,500 would be a reasonable price to start at.
Well, you could have something really cool on your hands here, or you could have nothing. It's got no markings on it, and I definitely need to have it checked out before I even offer you a price on it.
Okay.
So I'd like to have someone come down and take a look at it.
Right.
So if you got a little time, I'd like to get someone down here.
Yeah, I'd be thrilled to hear what they have to say, actually.
All right, give me just a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. I believe the expert is going to find that the guitar is probably worth at least $3,000. So there shouldn't be any qualms with my asking price, really.
Hey, Wolf.
Hey, hi.
How are you?
Good.
So this is what I called you about. Supposedly it's a John Carruthers.
Definitely looks like one to me. Carruthers is a legend in the guitar building industry. He worked for people like Hendrix, Elvis, the Stones, Neil Young. You could just go on and on and on. He worked with Fender designing the 52 Telecaster and the 52 Telecaster reissue. He was actually even asked to run the Fender custom shop at one point, but he turned that offer down to go work on his own.
Are his guitars very collectible?
Yeah, I'd say a Carruthers guitar is fairly collectible, yeah.
So you mind taking a closer look at it because he believes it could be a prototype.
Yeah, I'd love to take a look at it. It's okay if I pick this up?
Yeah, please
Thank you
do.
so much. Very nice looking axe. Wow. Looks like Brazilian rosewood on the fretboard and the bridge, and that's, you can't even import this wood without proper licensing fees or you go to jail immediately. Feels like it's chambered.
And what's that mean, it's chambered?
It means that it's hollowed out in certain parts of the guitar to give it a more resonant sound. Let's listen to it. Really, you can hear the hollow properties in the guitar.
Yeah, I play it unamplified all the time.
No serial numbers, nothing, huh?
Yeah, there was no markings or no serial numbers on it at all. So is this a prototype?
Not really. It's a custom shop order. I know it's a Carruthers guitar for sure, but this is what lets me know this is a custom shop order because this pickup is usually not here. That's just something he doesn't do.
Okay. So I'm gonna need to get a value on this, but I just wanted to make sure we take that in consideration. I don't know if that affects the value or not, but it's been dropped.
Definitely a ding like that is pretty substantial and may affect value a little bit. But when you're talking John Carruthers, I mean, this is a really nice instrument. So, I mean, I put a value on this of about 2,500 bucks.
All right, well, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Good seeing you.
See you next time.
Nice meeting you, sir.
Hey, thank you very much.
All right, well, that's good news.
Yes, indeed.
Why don't we make a deal at 1,600? It's a little more than you were asking for.
You know, it's not like I don't have enough guitars to play at home, so I guess I'll take the deal, thank you.
All right, let's go write it up. Follow me.
Cool, thank you. I think I struck a major chord today because I only paid $400 for the guitar and I sold it for $1,600, so I feel like it's song and a dance out the door here.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. What do we got here?
1960 Les Paul Custom.
Oh, nice. So where'd you get this thing?
Got it back when I was touring on the road in the 80s.
Who are you touring with?
I toured with a band called Triumph and another band called Toto.
Back in the hair metal days, huh?
Yep, the hair days. Still got it. Coming to the pawn shop today to try and sell my 1960s Les Paul Custom. This guitar means a lot to me. I did a lot of touring back in the 80s. This has done a lot of memorable shows. But today, I think I'm ready to cash it in.
And you say it's a 1960?
Yeah, 1960 Custom.
This is like, you know, the classic design, man.
Les Paul was an incredible individual. I believe he had over 60 patents involving the music industry. And when he aligned with Gibson guitars, he more or less invented the solid body electric guitar.
Do you know what was different about this than the normal one?
Yeah, it's got the triple binding on it. They did gold hardware on these. They've got the diamond inlay.
If it really is a 1960, it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars.
So why'd you want to sell it?
I just feel that it's time.
It looks pretty beat to hell.
No, it's not beat to hell. It's just been played.
So how much were you looking for?
I'm looking for about $25,000.
I've seen Gibsons from the 60s go for that. I've never once seen one in this shape go for that. And it's really hard to date these things.
One of the interesting things about Les Paul guitars is in the 60s, they really screwed up the serial number system, so it's very, very difficult to figure out what year it was made. And the problem is, if you don't know what you're doing, you can buy a 1969 Les Paul and think you bought a 1962 Les Paul. And if you do that, you just cost yourself thousands of dollars.
If I'm gonna drop this kind of cash, I'm gonna have someone check the guitar out for me.
Okay.
Is that cool with you?
Absolutely.
Sounds like a plan, man.
Great, thanks.
I manage a vintage guitar store here in Vegas. And if a vintage guitar could talk, you could just imagine the crazy stories it could tell, all the different people that have played on them, all the shows they've played. It's nothing better than a vintage guitar.
Well, you know how it is. Les Pauls can be worth $400,000, they can be worth $1,000, so.
Yeah, that's true. This is a very cool guitar. It's a good one. Tell it's got a good weight. It's not too heavy. Some of these get a little heavy. It's got some wear on it, but that's just character. I've seen Les Pauls go up to about 450 grand on the open market. So in order for me to figure out if this is a real 1960 Les Paul custom, I'm really gonna have to take a good look at it. When you look at a Les Paul, there's a couple things you wanna look at. Most people are often confused because some of these serial numbers overlap each other.
Okay.
And you'll have a serial number that dates the guitar at 60, and sometimes it's models that they didn't even make in the 60s. So
Okay.
It's got a two-piece body. Gibson did that for quite a while. You can see it's starting to separate a little bit there. Totally normal. And you've got these style tuning machines. They're tarnished, but those are actually original to the guitar. And then you've got the Gibson witch hat knobs. That's a good indicator of year. All the parts on it are original to the guitar, that's for sure. That's the good news. Bad news is, I'm pretty sure that this isn't a 1960.
Wow.
I think actually what you've got here is probably a 70 to 74.
Okay, what was the dead giveaway?
Dead giveaway for me is the two-piece body. They didn't start this until late 1969.
Okay.
So right there,
so if I ever see
1960 would have been one piece of wood. You've got the bump, the volute. They didn't start that till about 1970. If it was a 60, it'd be flat.
So how much do you think it's worth?
Well, being the 70s, you know, in this condition, probably right around the 3 range. Probably right around 3 grand.
The moment that they said it wasn't a 1960 Les Paul, my stomach kind of dropped a little bit. It kind of hit me pretty hard. Took a while to sink in.
Thanks for coming by, Justin.
No problem, man. It's still a great guitar.
Even though this isn't a 1960 Gibson Les Paul, it's a 1974 Gibson Les Paul, which is still a great guitar, and I'd love to have it.
Well, not exactly the $400,000 we thought, huh?
I am still interested in it, though. It's still a really cool guitar.
Well, I think I'm going to keep it.
I'd really like to give you $2 grand for it. You sure you don't want to sell it to me?
I think it's going to go back on the road with me.
Okay, sorry we couldn't do business. Sorry it wasn't worth a lot of money.
It's all right. Thanks. We tried.
Okay. Have a good one, man.
I'm really disappointed that it wasn't a 1960 guitar. Sentimentally, it's worth way more than $3,000 to me, and it's going to have to climb way up in price for me to be able to part with the guitar.